Hi everyone, Shannon here again. We're going to continue on with Story Hour, books that have been challenged here. I want to clarify, nothing's being banned. The books are being challenged by parents and concerned citizens that have every right to do so. And once again, it is asking questions. We got questions. Are there better materials? With this book specifically, I would love to know if there's better materials for our kids out there. Because this book is titled Sold, and it is by Patricia McCormick. We had a book review committee at the high school that we have to sit through and are not allowed to say one word. If we do, they'll ask us to leave. We sat through this, and it was very hard to do. This is a painful book. It's very deep. It's very upsetting. It puts you in an ugly spot. So I thought I'd read some passages from it so you'd understand what's going on. But it is about child sex trafficking. And they were gushing about the literary value of that. And this book takes place in India, okay? This book has nothing to do with America. I don't understand that part of it, because this book I just don't understand. This was one of my very first challenges, because this book upset me a great deal as an adult. Okay, they're very, very poor. They live in India. They live in huts, as a matter of fact. So I don't know what we could compare that to, but that's what they do. She gets drawn in. She's at a festival here with her stepfather and her family. She's at a bonfire, and someone comes up behind her in here. We're going to start right there. Where I live, says this girl, the girls have sweet cakes every day. This delicate stranger, it seems, is speaking to me. I steal a sideways look at her. She smiles, drawing her shawl to her lips with the dignity of a queen. I, too, draw my shawl to my face. See that I have the calloused hands of a farm girl and stuff them in the pockets of my homespun skirt. City girls have pretty dresses, she says from behind her yellow cloud, and fancy babbles. They eat oranges, dates, and mangoes every day. It's the easy life. You, I say, my voice is tiny as a bug's. You're a maid? The city woman laughs, still hiding her mouth with the hem of her shawl, but she does not answer. Would you like to come to the city with me, she says. I'll be your auntie. I nod, yes, no, and I run back to Amma, afraid to tell her about the new auntie who smells of amber and jasmine and possibility. So, I mean, there's a possibility she could have a better life and go to the city and eat sweets all the time. So, okay. So we carry on, because this is what's happening in India. When they need money, they just sell their daughters. So that's exactly what happens here. So here's the trade. The next morning, my stepfather brings me to Baja, Sita's store. He is carrying Amma's empty firewood basket, and yet he is wearing his watch, and his best trousers. Lakashima wants to go to work in the city, he tells her. I feel myself grow taller with his words. Baja Sita regards me through little lizard eyes. Is she a hard worker? She needs a thrashing on occasion, my stepfather says, but she is not as lazy as some. My cheeks flame with indignation, but I say nothing. Are you willing to do whatever I ask of you, she says. I nod. I will use a separate rag to wash the dishes, I want to tell her, and I will wait to take my meal until night. Yes, I say, I will do as I am told. She goes behind the curtain and returns with a stranger in the yellow dress. The woman looks me over, head to toe, then addresses my stepfather. How much do you want for her? She asks, her veil to her lips. My stepfather squints. He takes in the costly fabric of the woman's dress and babbles in her ear, the sliver of bangles on her wrists. 1,000 rupees, he says. There are not as many rupees in the world. I cringe at his backwardness and pray this refined and lovely city woman does not laugh him out of the store. Instead, she motions for him to step inside and back in the back room with her. She has no hips, I hear her say, and she's plain as porridge. I will give you 500. I do not understand. I can carry a load of firewood so heavy it would put a man to shame, and my legs are sturdy enough to climb the mountain a dozen times in one day. What does it matter that I have no hips yet? My stepfather says he knows the going weight for a young girl like me, so no less than 800. I will give you half now and the rest when she has proved her worth. My stepfather grunts, and he and the woman return. So it sounds like a deal has been done. Like I said, there's a lot in this book. There's just a lot. And another thing that they pointed out in the book review committee, they love the fact that there's a lot of blankness in the pages, because that really gives the reader time to think about and digest what they have just read. So if you want to digest that, go ahead. So in the chapters are very short, and it says like what she's going through. This one I love. This one is titled Old Man. Mumtaz, that's the one that's in charge of this girl's place where this girl is at. Are you ready to go to work? She says in my language. I nod and say yes, then nod again, although I do not understand how these city people do their chores in such fine clothes and uncomfortable shoes. I follow Mumtaz down the hallway lined with tiny rooms. We pass by girls sitting cross-legged on the floor, girls drawing on tiger eyes, girls spraying themselves with flower water. Some of them stare at me, some take no notice. We go up some stairs, down another hallway, then into a room where an old man is laying on a bed. His skin is yellow and he has tufts of hair poking out from his ears. Mumtaz speaks kindly to him, and I wonder if he is sick. Across the hall in another room where a red cloth is hung across the doorway, I hear the sound of grunting. It is strange animal sound that makes me shudder. Mumtaz points to me and says something to the old man. He licks his palm and smooths down his hair. They do not seem to notice the grunting. Then it stops. The red cloth is pulled back and a man stands in the hallway zipping his pants. I look down at my red painted nails and my new shoes. Something's not right here. I didn't know what was going on, but it is not right. It is not right at all. Mumtaz pats the edge of the bed and tells me to come closer. The old man makes a clucking sound. Don't be afraid. Come here now. Blankness on the page so you can take it all in. I don't move. Her voice turns hard. Get over here, you ignorant girl, she says. More blankness. Still, I do not move. Then Mumtaz flies at me. She grabs me by the hair and drags me across the room. She flings me onto the bed next to the old man. And then he is on top of me, holding me down with the strength of 10 men. He kisses me with lips that are slack and wet and taste of onions. His teeth dig deep into my lower lip. Underneath the weight of him, I cannot see or move or breathe. He fumbles with his pants, forces my legs apart, and I can feel him pushing himself between my thighs. I gasp for air and kick and squirm. He thrusts his tongue in my mouth, and I bite down with all my might, and he cries out, ah! And I am running down the hall past the other girls, losing my fancy city shoes along the way until I'm on the back room where I started, pulling on my old clothes out of the bundle. Lots of blankness if you want to digest that for a minute. Here we're at sold. I'm wiping the makeup off my face when the darkened skinned girl comes in. What do you think you're doing? She says. I'm going home. Her tear-shaped eyes grow dark. There is a mistake, I tell her. I'm here to work for a maid for a rich lady. Is that what you were told? Then Mumtaz arrives in the door, huffing her mango face pink with anger. What do you think you're doing? She says. Leaving, I say. I'm going home. Mumtaz laughs. Home? She says. And how would you get there? I don't know. Do you know the way home? She says. Do you have money for the train? Do you speak the language here? Do you even have any idea where you are? My heart is pounding like the drum of a monsoon rain. My shoulders are shaking as I had a great deal of chill. You ignorant hill girl. You don't know anything, do you? I wrap my arms around myself with all my might, but the trembling will not stop. Well then, Mumtaz says, pulling her record book from under her waistcloth. Let me explain it to you. You belong to me, and I paid a pretty sum for you too. She opens to a page in her book and points to the notation of 10,000 rupees. You will take men to your room and do whatever they ask of you. You will work here like the other girls until your debt is paid off. Your auntie, she scoffs, works for me. So I don't know. I mean, kind of deep. Like I said, go get it wherever you want. We're going to go on to one more chapter here. I know this is long. I'm very sorry. Here we are, lucky to be with Habib. A man with lips like flesh comes into my room and says, "You're lucky to be with Habib." He is squeezing my breast with his hand like someone shopping for a melon. I try to push him away, but my arm, stone heavy with the lassie, doesn't move. "You're lucky," he says, "that Habib is your first one." I close my eyes. The room pitches this way and that way. "You can tell the others that it was Habib," he said. I open my eyes, watch him squeeze my other breast, and wonder, who is this Habib he keeps talking about? "If this is really your first time," he says, "old Mumtaz is a tricky one." He unbuckles his belt. Once before, she sold Habib used goods. The fish lips man removes my dress. I wait for myself to protest, but nothing happens. "Habib," he says, "Habib is good with the ladies." Then he is on top of me, and something hot and instant is between my legs. He grunts and struggles, trying to fit himself inside me. With a sudden thrust, I am torn in two. "Oh, yes," he says, panting. "Habib is good in bed." I hear coming from a distance a steady thud, 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 and register that the sound of the headboard is hitting the wall. After a while, I don't know how long, another sound interrupts the rhythmic thud of the headboard. I know this noise from where. I work very hard to work it out. Finally, I identify it. It's the muffled sound of sobbing. Habib rolls off me. Then I understand. I was the person crying. Lots of blank pages here. Lots of blank ones there for you to take that in. Anyway, this is long. I'm sorry. I don't want to go on anymore. But this is a tough book, and I don't think it belongs. I think if you want to get it for your child, I don't see the literary value. One thing that really struck me was the media specialist that said that she absolutely loves this book. She would recommend it to all her students. As a matter of fact, she said that last year in the high school at FPC was a girl that had been molested or raped, and she had experienced some of this stuff that was in this book. And she wished her other students could read it to know what that student had gone through. So I just found that to be very, very sad. So there's my take on the book Sold. I am challenging it at the district level. Thank you.